Hi, everyone. Welcome to Syvantis Fast Class. My name is Christian, an ERP Technical Consultant at Syvantis. And today we're going to be talking about changing dimensions in Microsoft Business Central and why this is going to be useful to you. Following up from the previous Fast Class on the introduction to dimensions, there's ways you can change the dimension values as well as adjust existing dimension values on posted entries. Although this class is only going to cover the dimensions that are integral to the use of your Business Central system, editing dimension values in previously posted entries should only be done by admin level or lead accounting users. Giving too many users access to these edits and functionality can cause a lot of unwanted issues and changes within your system. So let's get started. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and my colleagues will answer them. So the first thing we're going to do, let's hop over to Business Central. And we're going to search for dimensions. So for this class, we're going to assume that you guys already have dimensions set up in the system, and we're just going to look at already established dimensions. So in clicking into this dimension list, you can see how many dimensions you've created within your Business Central system. Although you may have more than 8 dimensions created, only 8 can be utilized in the setup. So but any can be edited whether they're used or not in the setup. So we're going to click dimension, look at these dimension values. Let's look at department, click dimension values. So the first thing we're going to look at is changing the code. The code can be changed to any value that does not currently exist, but we recommend that you don't use, special characters. This can cause issues sometimes in Business Central. And depending on the number of entries posted within the system, this can take a few minutes to acknowledge the change, because not only is it changing the dimension value, but all posted entries related to this code. So we also highly recommend that you make dimension value code changes when no one else is in the system. The name here can also be changed to any value that doesn't exist. Adjusting the name is a much quicker process and can be done without halting the system because it doesn't actually affect posted entries. Okay, so that's the first way we can change our dimensions. Next thing we're going to look at is dimension corrections. So I'm going to jump to the dimension corrections page here. Dimension corrections are used to correct mistakes in general ledger entries that have been made during mass postings, or to adjust them based on new dimension values that you've created and now want to post to. Essentially, you establish these correction templates that determine what happens to the target lines during a given correction: change, add, remove dimensions. After setting up these templates, you can either manually add GL entries to them or add them via methods like filtering. After the correction runs, your GL entries will be altered, but not other ledgers. The purpose of this correction is not to eliminate the mistake, but to make sure that financial reporting is not hindered by the mistake. So first thing we're going to do in this dimension correction page, I'm going to click New. And clicking New opens a draft dimension correction page. First thing we need to do here is type a description that accurately reflects what changes will be made in this correction. Although you may change many dimension values at once, we suggest that you include the value you're changing and what you're changing it to in the description. A dimension correction is going to remain as a draft until lines have posted, after which it'll change to prevent further edits. The dimension correction changes section down here is going to allow you to set which dimensions are being changed. The current value and the new value. For example, choosing department, let me just select one here. And then if I go to new dimension value code and I add admin within the new dimension value code, and just an important note, this is going to be where you make the dimension changes, but you want to pull in the entries before you actually change anything, because anything you pull in, it's going to overwrite what you do here. But this is going to be the section where we're going to make our changes. Okay, I'm actually going to delete this one and just do a new one. Just name it test for now, since this is just an example. So down here, the selected ledger entry section, this is where we're actually going to pull in the entries that we're making adjustments to. The first option that we're going to look at is select manually, what you'll want to use to change a small number of specific lines. This brings up the entire general ledger entries page for you to choose specific line items to pull in for correction. Though this may be a little bit more laborious, the ability to pick specific isolated lines removes potential correction errors. Just pop in here so you guys can see what that looks like. So again, just pulls up the whole ledger entries page and we can pick specific ones as needed. Second option we're going to look at is add by filter. This doesn't bring up the entire general ledger entries page, just those the filters that you set in this pop-up page. You can add as many filters as necessary to yield exactly what you need to pull in, and we recommend you do this on the general ledger entries page first, so you can see what your filters are going to pull in. Just make sure that they pull in the entries that you want them to pull in. So in the filter here, you can filter on any field that's in the general ledger entries. So, let's say you want to go by posting date. We wanted to do, everything for this year, right? We could pull in all of the entries for this year if that's what we wanted to do. And you can set as many filters here as you need to. Okay, the last option we're going to cover today is add by dimension, which is very useful because many times we use the correction function to combine two dimension values into one, or to correct a mass posting to one dimension when another was intended. You'll notice you can utilize more than one dimension filtering at a time. And in case there's specific combinations of dimension values that were posted that are linked to the issue. So we just go add by dimension, and we can say, hey, I want to pull in everything that had, the specific, dimension code here, and it was combined with, let's see, just an area of 60. Let's go with that. So we could say, hey, if this combination dimensions here, these are the ones I need to make corrections on because there was a mass posting to the wrong combination here. I'm going to cancel out of that. So there's two additional selections, add related entries, which is going to bring in, that's this option here, that's going to bring in any entries that are related to the specific entry number you're highlighted on. And the other is remove entries right over here. This is going to delete all the entries that were selected in the rows. This is how you avoid adjusting an entry that you didn't mean to bring in. So for the purposes of our example, we're going to utilize the select manually function to be very specific. We're going to pick one invoice that was posted and do a correction on that. And just a quick note that the select manually option is the most common method that we see people using. Just getting really specific about what needs to be corrected. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, click select manually. Let's just scroll up, pick invoice 3001 here. Oh, sorry, what's this? This is a payment. Can see how that remove entries option comes into play here. Pulling the wrong thing, just click, highlight the line, click remove entries. See if we can find our invoice. And we can set filters in here as needed as well. There we go. There's our invoice 3001. We're going to highlight that, and you can see it pulls in the dimensions with the dimension value codes that were posted. Okay, so in this case, let's look at our department code, which was assigned as sales. And let's just say we're going to change that to be administration for whatever reason. We're also going to change the customer group from medium. We'll just change it to small. Okay, just to show you this add related entries, I can also click on that. Okay, it did reset my changes. So one note I suppose worth mentioning, make sure you do that before you make the changes you want. But that's pulled in all the related GL entries for that invoice. So if I want to make sure I adjust them all at the same time, I can go ahead and do that. So just make those changes again real quick. Or jump to admin, change this back to small. Okay, and now to actually run this correction, and click the Run button up here at the top. Okay, I have a couple different options here. If you're adjusting a large number of entries and you're worried you might bog the system down, you can schedule it to run at a certain time. In my case, I'm only making, I'm only adjusting a few entries. If you're adjusting like 50 or less, then you can pretty much just run immediately. It's not going to hurt anything. But if you're worried about it, you can schedule it. I'm going to check the box to run immediately, and I'm going to click OK. All right, and the dimension correction was successfully scheduled. Okay, it says it was scheduled, but if we refresh, you can see the status has changed to completed because it just ran immediately. So scheduled, that's just the default message that's going to pop up. Okay, now if we jump to our general ledger entries, see if we can find our invoice. Okay, there we go. You can see my department code has been changed to admin and my customer group has been changed to small. So one other thing I want to mention here, should you need to prevent an entire dimension from ever being changed with a dimension correction, this can be done in the dimension correction settings area. I'll just pop into that real quick with the search bar, jump into dimension correction settings. Within the search fields, accessing the dimension correction settings area, it's going to bring you to this tab called Dimensions Blocked for Correction. The process to add a dimension to this list is simply adding it to the dropdown. And this is advantageous for if you have a posting of a certain dimension set with very strict rules, giving you the confidence that a correction done to that dimension would be an incorrect adjustment. So you can essentially just block it from being used in any kind of correction. So that's it on dimension corrections. The dimension values that you're using for posting and reporting can be edited, but the closer you get to minimal or no edits, the better it'll be for anyone using the system. Should there ever be a need to change existing post entries, this can always be done, but keep in mind, this can only be done at the general ledger entries level. This is the most important area, as this is the true financial records. So only provide permissions to a few higher level users or admin to perform these updates. That's everything for today's class. Thank you so much for joining us. Next time, we're going to learn the basics about creating Power Apps. Thanks for joining us.